Welcome to Hotline TV. I'm Josh Kraushar.
And I'm Reed Wilson. Several polls out this week show that it's more and more likely the Senate might be up for grabs this fall for the Republican Party. Josh, do you think the Senate's in play?
The Senate is definitely in play. It's the underserved story of the election year so far. Cook, the esteemed Cook Political Report, now has 11 Democratic-held Senate seats. 11 Democratic-held Senate seats in either the toss-up or lean Republican column. Now they need 9 or 10, depending on whether you think Joe Lieberman is gonna caucus with the Republicans, depending on what happens. But you need about 9 or 10 for Democrats to lose the majority. When you have a wave, all the toss-up seats generally swing in one direction, and the environment is trending directly and significantly in the Republicans' direction. This is definitely something that, I'd put a 35–40% chance that the Senate is in play and Republicans could take control.
I'm going to completely disagree with you on that. There are not 11 seats in play. There are 11 seats that are competitive, sure, but I don't think they're the same thing. Take a look at some of the seats that are in play. In Colorado primaries today, that's definitely in play. States like Connecticut, though. Connecticut, I'm not so sure that's really in play. Very heavily Democratic state. Richard Blumenthal has weathered the storm of the whether or not he actually served in Vietnam. I'm taking that one off the table. I don't think that's a big deal. Republicans have to win states like California, Washington, and Wisconsin in order to take back the majority. They basically have to run the table, win all these 11 seats that are in play, while not losing the 4 Republican seats that are still open. So I'm saying that California is probably out of reach. I think Washington State is going to be a lot tougher than Republicans think. And in Wisconsin, you've never heard the definition of a fighter if you don't know who Russ Feingold is. So taking away those 3, Republicans are going to have a real hard time picking up seats. Now let's talk about some of the Republican-held seats that are up. States like Kentucky, Rand Paul is just a walking disaster. He's got scandal after scandal, and verbal gaffes, and I think that's a seat that Democrats could possibly win. Plus, let's take a look at Florida, where in Florida you've got Charlie Crist, an independent candidate. We all thought his poll numbers were going to plummet. His poll numbers are still good. If he makes it to the Senate, he's not going to caucus with John Cornyn and Mitch McConnell. He's going to caucus instead with Democrats. I think Democrats have a real good shot at picking up at least 1 Republican-held open seat. I'm not convinced that the Senate is truly in play just yet.
Florida is the only chance, and when Charlie Crist is your last hope to keeping that firewall, let's go state by state. Let's go over some of the states we talked about. Missouri, President Obama, his approval rating is in the mid-30s. Robin Carnahan would be a great candidate if this was 2006 or if this was 2008. She's not going to be able to get that wave. Missouri, 70% of voters in Missouri, primary voters, voted to repeal Obama's signature legislative achievement. That's going to be a major issue in that race.
You can't bring up Proposition C. It was a largely Republican field. Republicans were the only ones who had any kind of primaries. I'm not buying Prop C as a serious indicator of where the state of Missouri, much less the rest of the country, is on health care. I think it's much closer. Certainly it's a majority oppose it, but it's probably 55-45. It's not 70-30 by any means.
Missouri, Republican state, and in 2010.
Republican state, that's fine.
And in Kentucky, coal, energy issues are going to be one of the dominant issues in a state like Kentucky. And as bad a candidate as Rand Paul is, Jack Conway is going to be tagged with a Democratic brand. It's not a winning year to have that, especially in a state like Kentucky. Now,
I'm not buying it. I think in Kentucky, bottom line is you talk about if this election becomes about Rand Paul, there's a significant chance that Jack Conway ends up as the senator. And it doesn't help that Rand Paul is going around talking about how he doesn't want to be involved in regulating mines.
Well, and then you go to the states, the firewall states, Washington, Wisconsin, and California. We've seen polls just in the last couple weeks. Toss-up race with Russ Feingold. Feingold's one of his first television ads is going after a businessman, Ron Johnson. No one knows anything about him. He's got a pretty empty record, or doesn't have a record that Democrats can scrutinize. Feingold is worried. He's been trying to spend as much money as he can to go after the Republicans. Patty Murray's worried, and President Obama's coming in this month. These are 2 toss-up races, and in a wave, they certainly could go in the Republicans' direction.
One thing Democrats are doing intelligently is that at the end of the day, they have more money. They're going to spend it to define the candidates.
The one bright spot for Democrats, though, Harry Reid in Nevada, he's looking in pretty decent shape against Sharon Angle.
Absolutely. We're about out of time for today. Until next time, thanks for watching Hotline TV.